is coming to a close for Orebro University students. And we're here with two of them to discuss how their first impressions as expatriates living in Sweden was as a student. So I'm here with Ibrahim, could you, sorry, say that
Ibrahim Al-Hassani.
Al-Hassani, sorry, and
Sophie Homer.
Sophie Omar. Wonderful to meet you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you guys give us a quick introduction to yourselves? Like, tell us a little bit about who you are.
As I said, my name is Ibrahim Al-Hassani. I'm 33 years old. This is my first year as master program student in Orebro University. It's in information, project management, and IT and organizations.
It's quite the mouthful.
Oh yeah, yes it is. Absolutely, yeah. I live, of course, in another city, Eskilstuna. I take the train every day, back and forward, in order to be here in the library and study and attend to the lectures. But, yeah, that's about it.
Wonderful. And how about you?
Yeah, I'm 20. Born in England originally, but I've lived in Sweden for 11 years. And now I'm studying my first year on the medical program here at Örebro.
Wonderful.
So,
were you originally, are your parents English or are they Swedish?
both English.
What originally brought you to Sweden?
Well, I think my parents were both really interested in Sweden. They both studied Swedish and Scandinavian studies at university, and then when I think life kind of got too much in England with the high tempo, more stressful lifestyle, so they decided to relocate to the forests of Dalarna.
And what brought you originally to Sweden?
Actually, it was more like a personal and family decision. I moved by myself and my brother, of course, and that was like 8 years ago. I was born in Baghdad originally, but lived most of my life outside of Iraq. And we moved to Sweden, and we first relocated in the north part of Sweden, in Skellefteå. That's why a lot of people here in the middle and south Sweden call me the half north guy. You know, there's a term in Swedish called lapparna. It points to the people who lived in the north. There's a region, Lapland. So whenever they talk to me, they say, "Oh yeah, you're the half Lapp." They always like that. Yeah, and that's where I lived for years before I moved to Eskilstuna and then started my studies here.
Was that a real culture shock for you, coming from a desert climate, very dry country to Sweden? How was the getting used to that?
Well, actually, my father I would say he was the one who got the cultural shock, because he studied in the 60s of the last century. He studied medicine in Vienna and Austria. So what happened is that he got a lot of changes. He learned a lot of things, and he inflicted that in our family. So most of the time, the things we learned, the things we talked and discussed, our lifestyle was not exactly 100% Middle Eastern. We were more Western than just Middle Eastern. And that's why actually what helped me a lot, understand the culture and we cope with a lot of changes. And one of my managers in the north, he told me, we were talking for a while, and when I talked to him, he said, well, he told me that from day one, he felt like I was more Western than being Eastern, for in his mind, in his assumption when he was absorbing my behavior. So, yeah.
So you both said that you came here many years ago with your families. Your family came here to relax.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
What do they do for a living?
Well, when I was growing up, my mum was always at home, partly by choice, partly because they spent quite a few years moving around when I was small, so it was more difficult to find nursery and whatnot for me and my brother. And then my dad now works for a company in Borlänge, But yeah, instead of following, I don't know, like a career or something that brought us here, it was much more like they chose the country and I don't know, took the job that came.
And how about you? I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you
No,
saying?
no.
And what brought your family here originally?
Well, it was me and my brother. It was more like a family decision that it was like taking the next step in both personally and professionally. So we moved, as I said, to the north. My brother, he had to go through some process in order to, validate his degree. He's a pharmacist, and for me it was much easier because so it went actually faster for him because he follows certain procedure because the I would say the health sector is far more clear, the procedures. When you go through the details, you follow them, you end up in there where you're supposed to be. But in the IT is more like an open market, so it took me longer to find a way than he did.
What were some challenges that you guys had to face when you first came to Sweden? And do you still face those challenges today?
I would say probably one of the most difficult things that still I face today is the previous judgment. It's a lot of people, the first question they ask, they don't ask what you do as much as they ask where you come from. So for example, in your case, you're Robert, you're from USA. As soon as they ask you where you come from USA, and that means, okay, you're either this guy or you're either this guy, which part are you, and they always try to categorize people. I wouldn't say it's only Sweden, it's like, maybe it's a trend, a cultural thing now, everywhere. So the previous judgment actually, it does affect a lot how you, but of course there are small and big differences, trying to get to know people, trying to find place where you can use your energies and focus on to do, because nowadays it's really changing very fast, and you put your focus, your energy in one thing, and all of a sudden it all disappears because of changes in projects or finance or politics or whatever. So you have to change to a total different thing, and so on and on and on. Yeah.
And how about yourself?
I guess that I have perhaps fewer difficulties not coming from so far away, and so it's not as I don't know, exotic or special, so people don't have to ask all the time where I'm from.
Do you get mistaken for Swedish a lot?
Yeah. But maybe because where we moved to in Dalarna is a very tiny place where people have very strong roots going back generations and generations. So maybe the hard thing was is having a different mentality to that, where group, and so trying to be a part of that group is maybe difficult sometimes. I think that's a bit everywhere in Sweden as well, that people quite often have very tight societies.
That's actually, now she mentioned it, you reminded, actually she's very right about that point, because that's also something they say. It's like small communities are very hard to get into. So, of course you get into work, learning the language, and of course it's always about trying to be part of the community in different ways, public, like public events, be there, things that you're not used to, food for example, or things that you find, well, what on earth is this? How can you eat jam with potatoes? These things. But the more you give it a chance, you like it, and the more you found yourself a place, and it is typical in small communities. It's rather more, about this is how it is, and Let's keep it this way. But in major big cities, like for example Gothenburg, Stockholm, the south, Malmö, that's when they always say it's totally different story. It's like a big pot, and everything you can find everything in there. Yeah.
You were saying about the language. Both of you can speak Swedish fluently?
Yes.
Yeah.
How was that experience, learning this new language? Because Swedish is often considered a rather difficult language to learn, but what was your experience in that regard?
I think that I've blanked out from my memory the time when I couldn't speak Swedish, because I mean I was 9 years old, so I know it took me at least a year to be able to speak, but I don't remember the process.
Do you think learning the language so young actually helped you more, or compared to having to learn it at an older age?
I don't know. People say different things. I mean, I find it really interesting, like language learning, and if children or adults learn faster. But there's so many different studies that say different things, so I don't know.
And how about yourself?
Well, I would say that knowing English language before arriving to Sweden, that helped me a lot, because there's a lot of similarities between English language and Swedish language. So that was a very big help, actually. And in the beginning, it's extremely difficult to learn the new words. Then everything is new, everything is different, and you try to find yourself a starting point. Like, for example, in my case, it was a little bit naive, but I used to take dictionaries, English, Swedish dictionary, and just check out the most common English words that I know, and write the Swedish, words. And of course, it wasn't exactly the right method, but it was just the beginning.
Very good. And what made you choose Örebro University above all the other universities? Sweden is a bit famed for its good education system, so why did you pick this particular university?
Well, for me, it was just the one I got accepted to out of medical schools.
That's always a good indicator.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting, because that's almost the same thing for me, actually.
And did you enjoy your first year as master's students here at Örebro University? Is there anything you would improve upon? Anything you'd want to change? Or was it all wonderful?
I'm enjoying it so far. Seems pretty good.
What did you enjoy about it?
Wow, I feel like my course anyway is very well run, and the teachers are good, and they know what we're supposed to be doing, and we're well guided, so yeah, I'm pleased.
That's good.
Yeah, actually, I enjoyed it a lot. It absolutely surpassed my expectations. What I like the most about it is the amount of possibilities in the university. It's like, because when you're outside, it's very hard to find the places, or directions where you focus your energy into certain activities. But here in the university, not only it's about study, but it's about doing a lot of things, attending lectures, events, whether it's in the university or also for the community. So what I like the best is, like, the university opened a lot of possibilities for me during only this year. And I'm always in a lot of lectures, a lot of studies. If there's a big event or something, there's a big chance you both will see me there, because that's what I liked very much. And it opened a lot of possibilities, and that's really, I liked it and appreciated it. And of course the studies are good. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Just not here to go out, but I mean the studies, the program itself. Doctors are really good.
Great. Ibrahim, Sophie, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wish you the best of luck in the rest of your
Thank
studies.
you very much.